and welcome to another book review with Alice. Today we are going to talk about a book that I read on my Kindle. So here's the cover. We're going to talk about The House of Shadows by Darcy Coates. Now, I've been reading a lot of Darcy Coates books this fall because I read two of their books before and I loved the first one, but then the second one was so similar in the pattern and the pacing and how things happened that I was disappointed. And I stayed away from their books for a while. But then they came up with that Gravedigger series, which was an entirely different concept, so I gave that one a shot. I loved it. So now I've gone back and I've started reading more of Darcy Coates' books, but I'm aiming for ones that are not specifically The Haunting of and then a house, because those seem to follow a very similar pattern and I figured them out too quickly. So I've been doing different ones, and now this one is The House of Shadows. Now the premise for this one is, I'm calling it more of a romantic suspense type book, because there's this girl and her family is really poor. So in order to be able to have her family survive and have things work out, she gets married off to this guy. And so she moves in with him into his house, which is in the middle of nowhere. And then that's when the creepy stuff starts to happen. So I absolutely loved the main characters. They were delightful. They were so much fun. And I mean, I felt that the characters maybe fell in love with each other a little quickly, but you know what? It takes place in I want to say the 1800s, and if you've read things like Pride and Prejudice or any of those older classic type love stories and that, the characters do tend to fall pretty fast at that time. I think it was, dating then was simple. You met the person, you were like, oh, I like you, and they were like, I like you, married. And that's just kind of how it happened, whereas nowadays you could literally date someone for a decade and not marry them, and this is totally normal. So I think that back then you just met and you liked them. But the family of this guy was nutty. So I almost think the house in this particular book was a character in its own. The house was big and it was creepy, and there were there were sections she wasn't allowed to go into, so it was a little bit like Beauty and the Beast-esque in that sense. But the house literally was a character in the story, almost like the house that the book I read before and did a review of, but not, because in this case the house wasn't so much alive, it's more like other stuff. But anyway, I don't want to give spoilers. So I really liked the story. I really liked the main character. I thought she was kind of spunky. She started out being a little bit more Beauty and a little bit well-behaved and that, and then she got a little bit not as behaved and kind of started snooping around a little bit, which is always fun when you're in a spooky type house that you're sneaking around looking what else is happening in this place. So I enjoyed that aspect of her. And then I did like the main character. It seemed like he genuinely cared for her, and that even though he was cold at times or a little bit off-putting, you felt like he had a good heart, and I was rooting for them pretty quickly, which I like. I don't mind if it takes a couple of while to get together. As long as I'm rooting for them, I'm pretty happy with things. So, and the side characters were weird and confusing and interesting in their own aspects as well. So this is book one of a series. I know there's a second one. I haven't read it yet because honestly, from reading spooky books all of September and October, I want to finish the ones I've started, and then I think I need a break for a little while. So I might go into some indie or fantasy-esque type stuff for the rest of the year. But yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to read book two at some point, probably when I need a palate cleanser between other books. But I really enjoyed it. So if you need a spooky book and you want an author that has all sorts of different spooky books that come with houses that are creepy and traditional ghost stories and also more supernatural type things, check out Darcy Coates, because I have really been enjoying her books. And yeah, that's all I got for you today. So I did give the story 4 stars. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. But yeah, check out Darcy Coates. They're on Kindle Unlimited, and yeah, happy reading, you guys. Bye!